It's madness right now. If you thought the airport was crazy before, it's a whole nother level. It's a whole nother several levels. It's way up high, all the way up. Okay, so get to the airport a day early, especially if you're old like me. You have mobility challenges, musculoskeletal problems, neurological issues, chronic pain, chronic illness, vision problems, anything like me. All of the above. I just named all my things. But if you have any of those things, get there like a day early. Okay, not a whole day, but at least 8 hours. Make it a work day. Hi, I'm Rakia, and I have had 5 major surgeries over the past 13 years, none of them related except for my knees. I've had both of them replaced. I am a medical trauma mold toxicity survivor, and I just survived flying out of and back into Atlanta Jackson Hartsfield Airport, and I'm going to share some of my experiences in this video and some tips I have for people like me. Alright, so get there early. That's tip number 1. A day early. Okay, not a whole day, at least 8 hours. It's a work day. I created a short, and I also posted it on Instagram, and people were like, when I said a day early, most people got the joke. But some people were like, well, where we go sleep at? Well, I'm not doing that. I'm old. I can't sleep at the airport. Not a whole day, but it's going to seem like it anyway. So get there early. The reason I came up with that idea was when I flew back out, when I was going back out to Atlanta, I flew from Atlanta to North Carolina, Raleigh-Durham, and I got there early because they told me to leave 3 hours ahead of time. So I was like 3.5, but the airport was really close. Atlanta, I did not have that luxury. I actually did not. I learned at the last minute there was a problem. My trip was booked before the government shutdown. So I learned at the last minute it was a problem. I did leave early, but even 3 hours wasn't enough for Atlanta. It was not enough. I was lucky to get to the gate in time. And I like to get to the gate before, that's another tip, but before everyone gets on. I like to do the pre-boarding. But anyway, get there early. The reason I say this is because once you go through security and you still have 2 hours, you're going to be like, okay, you can go to whatever concourse you want to go get something to eat. You get to go to the bathroom, you get your water, you get to do everything and get situated. If you have like pain, if you live in chronic pain, you know. If you live in chronic pain, comment below. You know it takes more out of you to do the normal things. And for me now, not only is there the pain, like the musculoskeletal, but I have neurological issues. So my hands don't go where I need them to go. And I have current running through my body. But it's my nerves. So we like to say, getting on my nerves. When you are stressed, that's a whole nother level of getting on your nerves. It really affects you more. So when I got there early and I was just sitting back, I got to get my coffee. I got to get whatever I wanted to have. Excuse me. I have dry mouth, another symptom. And I was like, this is the life. This is the move. Get there a whole day early. But really, right now in the new abnormal, if you have to travel, you have to go extremely early. If I ever traveled again, first of all, I want to be going out of the country and staying for a minute. But if I ever travel during this, I'm not going to do it. But if there's video footage of how horrible it was coming back into Atlanta. Anyway, if I have to travel, from now on, I'm leaving early because it's such a great convenience when you have other things going on in your body and you're old. Old people should not be rushing through the airport. People are going to be whipping around you. They don't care nothing about your gray hair. They don't care nothing about how you moving slow. That's not going to be, no one's going to be like, ma'am, let me see if I can. That's not going to happen. So get there early. My next tip is before you get in that long line for security, I know you know this already. I know we all know this. But trust me, if you think you can make it to the bathroom, you can't make it to the bathroom because the line is 2, 3, 4 hours long. So go to the bathroom before you get in that line, especially if you have bladder issues. When I got out of the line, I had to use the restroom again, and it was time to get on the flight. And I could either get water, which I was so thirsty, or I could go to the bathroom. So I went to the restroom because I figured water and no restroom would not be good for the flight for everyone involved. So I went to the restroom, and I like to get to the flight when they're doing the pre-boarding. So when they say, if there's anybody here that needs additional time, that's us. If you need additional time, you raise your hand. You don't have to raise your hand. But I like to be right up in the front, so I know it's coming, and I'm right there waiting. So when they say it, that's my word. I'm rolling up there with whatever I got to get in there. I'm making sure everything is condensed. They say 2 things. I'm not fidgeting with, I had a sandwich, or I had this, or I had that. I make sure everything is ready. Make sure all of your things, you're all together, so when it's time to get on that plane, you don't have to worry about dropping something or just aggravating yourself, because it's going to be an aggravating experience. So you get there ahead when they say anybody, because you need me to get on there earlier. Stewardess people. Okay, flight attendants, you need me to get on there and take my 10 attempts to get my bag into the overhead carry-on, because they're not going to help you. Occasionally they will. This time, leaving out of Atlanta, it was a different type of plane. I didn't know which way the wheels went, so I asked her, and she said, oh, they go like this, and then she did it for me. But most of the time, you're going to have to do that by yourself. So be prepared for that as well. Try not to make your bag too heavy. Another reason why I get there ahead of time, aside from the more time, I don't want them to check my bag. Because if I don't get on, if I don't have a ticket that gets me boarding first, if I'm in zone 7 or 19 or whatever the zones are. One time I was in the last zone or close to it, and I had paid so much money for my ticket. I was so mad, and I didn't want them to check my bag because I had recently had my spinal fusion. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm showing her my x-rays. Here's the medal. And she was like, whatever, ma'am. We checking this bag. And I was going to an airport I hadn't been to before. And I was like, I don't want to have to pull it off of the conveyor belt. And she's like, well, you got to put it up. I said, that's not the same thing. Yanking a bag off of a moving conveyor belt is not the same thing as me putting it on the seat and walking it up into the overhead compartment. Those are 2 different things. But she didn't care, so I do that for 2 reasons. I need extra time, and I don't want to check my bag. So that's a tip for you if you don't know that already. If you do know it, tell somebody else. All right, so do that. Pack what you need. Don't overpack. Make sure everything is all together. Let's see. Make sure and again, everything that you're carrying can be easily carried. You're not fumbling because, again, it's crowded. It's really crowded. It was a really, really interesting experience. Let's see. Oh, I saw this woman in line when I was coming in. She had this collapsible, black, beautiful chair that she whipped. She had it around her arm, and then she whipped it out. She was like, I'm 80-something. I got to have this. I'm like, I hear you. She said, my back hurt. I'm like, yeah, I got screws in mine. We had a moment. And so I put that in my cart. I'll share with you. I'll share the link, and here's a picture of it. So in case you want to get one for your travel. Even if you're not getting on a plane, it'd probably be good to, like, if you're going to outdoor events, I want a bag. I need a bag. But if you're in a line situation, that's a good thing to have. It looked pretty lightweight. She was an older woman. She carried it. She had her son with her, but she had it. I think it was her son. Anyway, I think it was her son. Anyway, that's not the point. Brain fog, ADHD, all over the place. So, yeah, collapsible chair. Let's see. Oh, when I came back out of Raleigh-Durham, I had... they have a movable walkway. They have in Atlanta too, but Atlanta, I didn't have the luxury to be on some movable walkway. It was chop, get off the plane, and get to your gate. So on the way back to Atlanta in Raleigh-Durham, they have the movable walkway. So you can use that too. It's helpful to help you move faster, but it's also helpful to help you avoid the crowds so that you can, just stand there and make sure you're on one side, because some people still want to rush through when they could just walk on the, whatever. But that's what they want to do. I get out the way, but be careful, because sometimes it has an incline. I was on there, and then I was like, whoa. So be careful with that. Let's see. You can request a wheelchair. I've had 2 surgeries since I traveled, knees and back. I've never requested a wheelchair. Right now, my challenges are, if I walk a long time, my knees and my back will hurt, but my challenges are my balance. My balance is off. My vision is off. I'm recovering from a vitrectomy for a detached retina, so and I need cataract surgery. So my vision is still off. But so those are my challenges. So I didn't request a wheelchair, but we are in the middle of a government shutdown, so not going to be many wheelchair, people, TSA people to help you with a wheelchair. And it's not going to be the same experience. If you've ever ridden in one before at the airport, I want to tell you, it's not going to be the same experience. When I got back to Atlanta, there was this man, TSA agent. He was there, and he might not be TSA. He worked in the airport, and I guess, I don't know. Is that the same thing? I don't know. Tell me in the comments. I'm old. I got brain fog. I got a lot on my mind. He was pushing the woman in a wheelchair. That was one of the people that do that. And he was like, you didn't know he was there until you just heard, make a hole, coming through, make a hole, wheelchair coming through, make a hole, wheelchair coming through, make a hole, wheelchair coming through, make a hole. I was like, is he? I'm gonna need one. Right, exactly. I'll need one if you run me over. He was so serious. Wheelchair coming through to make a hole. And the people, they were older people around and they were trying to get out the way. And she's like, you're screaming in my ear. And I'm like, look, I'm going to need a wheelchair if you hit me with it. And the woman in the wheelchair, I couldn't imagine if I needed a wheelchair and I was in there and in that crowded environment and someone is in control of how I move. You're not in control of yourself when you're in a wheelchair. I can't imagine the stress that she was under. I can't imagine the stress that he was under because he probably had 10 more people back there that he had to get to make a hole and go back and get the next person. So it was very, very chaotic. So a wheelchair might not be the way to go right now during this new abnormal. Maybe, so if you don't, I guess the one thing I say, get there a day early. It's a joke, but it's not that funny. But because you really need 8 hours. Some people, I saw in the news, somebody was 5 hours missed their flight. Somebody was 8 or 9. I forgot what it was. But they were still, they don't think they're going to have enough time. So I'm not really exaggerating. Other than the fact that you're not going to want to sleep at the airport. And someone also mentioned that you can't check your bag before. That was one of the things they commented on my Instagram post, which was helpful. You can't check your bag except for 4 hours before your flight. But I'm thinking they need to change that because it's going to take you 2 hours just to do that part, to go to the ticketing thing and check your bag. Unless, maybe they have the, I didn't look because I didn't check a bag. Maybe they usually have that little electronic, you do it, you take your bag somewhere, but I would not be trusting that. I would want to put that bag on. I would want to see that go on the conveyor belt right now and what we're dealing with right now. You'll see, there's video. Did I show it already? We'll see. Anyway, so yeah, the 4 hours ahead of time, I think they might need to change that. Try not to bring a bag. And then that way you can get there and you can have that luxury of once you've got through everything, you can relax. Bring something that's going to make you feel good when you get through there because you're going to need it. All right, so what's the next thing? Pre-boarding, we talked about that. I have my list. I typed it up this time. Still scribbling on it because I'm brain fog and yeah. All right, don't check your bag. I can't stress enough. Get there early. Yeah, we talked about, I can't talk about sensory issues enough. For me, when I go to take my hand and do something, like to put the cap on this, to open up, little twisty things come on cords and stuff you buy. That is a challenge. It's just to get the hands to do what it needs to do, to get my body to move the way I want it to do. It's that stressful because it should be something normal, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years because of toxic mold. I'm recovering from mold, toxic mold, mycotoxins. I've been colonized by mold, and so it's helped me understand why I've had so many problems over the years, but at the same time, I look like I'm okay, but I'm not. And so that's why you can't really see a disability. You can't see that. That's why I said when you get to that gate, you say, I need help, because you can't see that. So anyway, the sensory thing, the extra added onto that really will stress you out. So if you have sensory problems, if you have pain, chronic pain, and then stress, that's going to make it worse. So the earliness of it gives you time to just kind of woosah down once you get to the gate, and then you have plenty of time. All right, let's see. We did talk about it. Okay. I talked about the 4. I'm ahead of the game. Eat. This is not the time to be on a diet or somebody's fast or intermittent fasting. Eat your food. Especially if you take medication, you have other problems going on. Eat something. This woman on the way out of Atlanta passed out. And we were in line, and she all of a sudden everybody kept saying, yo, security, and the men were pointing, and then they came over, and this woman was on, she passed out, and it took her a minute to come back through. And then as we wove through the line, 8 million different ways to Sunday, she was just sitting there, and I think she said, I did check my numbers. I think she said, so she may have been diabetic. So if you're diabetic, if you have any kind of problems that make you weak, I'm not diabetic, but if I stand up for too long and I haven't had anything to eat or water, that's a problem. I think that's from my the neurological swing, and I swing like a tall building in the earthquake. I am tall too, but I think that has something to do with it. But anything like that, make sure you've eaten, make sure you have your medication, you took it, and you have it on hand in case you need it again. Bring snacks that you need to eat, that you like to eat. But the good news is when you get to the airport early, if you have $1 million, you can go you can go get different things from different places, because you can pick whichever concourse you want to go to, because you got time now. It's like the movie Terminal. Was it Tom Hanks when he lived in the airport? Yeah, you can just go to different concourses and do whatever you want to do when you have time. But it depends on the airport. That was Raleigh-Durham. I would not do that in Atlanta. I would not do that as much. Not right now. I would do it in Atlanta if it wasn't as bad, but I wouldn't do it right now, because I heard they have great things. I'm usually in a different concourse than what I want to check out. But anyway, so let's see. Ooh, this is very important. Do not expect your arrival, your departure and your arrival back into the same airport to be the same experience. I'm going to say that again. Do not expect your departure from your airport and your arrival back into your home airport to be the exact same experience. When I left, I got there, I think it's 3.5 hours early. But when I left, there was a long line. It wove all over the place. You would think you were getting somewhere, and then you were going someplace else. But we had a violinist, and she was there, and she was playing all the music. I was dancing with my carry-on, having myself a good time, because I still love to dance. No matter how much pain I'm in, I'm 19 when the music is on. So I'm doing that, having a good time, and there it is. And then, okay, that was so beautiful. I'm like, yes. I get back to Atlanta. I come up that escalator, where usually it's a fun experience because people are waiting for you, and you can wave and say hey or whatever. Nobody was waiting for me this time. Thank God I did not ask my son to come get me. Anyway, I came up that escalator, and I was thrown off. All right, is this really a thing?
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So this is me trying to get to. Sorry.
Are you leaving?
I'm trying to get to ground transportation. Whatever that means, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means. Okay. This is a hot mess. And it's so interesting.
Delta security, you've not been in line for security, the line starts over here. You've not been in line for security, the line starts over here. All security, general security, pre-check, all of this
Oh,
stuff.
this is the security line. This is wild. It's like we're trying to get off and get on at the same time.
Over here, Uber, Lyft, hotel shuttles, across the way, folks.
Why are they sending
What?
us back through again?
It was insane. I got thrown off my game. I forgot I was from New York. I was like, oh, what is going on? Annie M. I was not in Kansas anymore. I was like, what is really happening? I went the wrong way for the Uber. I got told, I think they moved it. I got told wrong directions again. I asked this man, and he told me to go over the river and through the woods, and I didn't get to grandma's house video.
This is my third time
And
around.
I was like,
Third time the charm.
wrong way. And when I finally got to Uber, it was downstairs on the opposite side. I actually went in the wrong direction when I got off. So that probably was on me. But there was no way to know. Because it was kind of like you come up and you're going with the crowd. Well, if you need to be over there, that's your business. Because The crowd, you just got to move the crowd, You just had to go with the crowd, go with the flow. And so I eventually found the Uber, bring your sense of humor. You are going to need it. Pray, get your peace and your woosah about yourself, because you are going to need it. I eventually found the Uber, but I was thrown off my game. But I tell you what, when I came up that escalator, I went from dancing with my carry-on to clutching it like I was in New York, because there was too many people around me. I did remember that part. I did remember that I was from, that you need to, make sure you got your things with you. This is not the time to have your purse zipped open, or you looking trying to get your lip gloss out or whatever. Just keep everything zipped up. And get to where you're going. It was mad. I went through so many different crowds of people just to get out of there. And on that note, wear a mask. Okay, if your immune system is compromised, wear a mask. I wear a mask when I get off and on the plane, because of the fact that I at first during COVID time I wore it, of course, but I had a pulmonary embolism, so I was very protective of my lungs, and so I still kept wearing it. And now that I know that I have toxic mold in my body, which attacks your immune system and causes inflammation, I don't need anything else. And aside from that, I don't need anybody spitting on me. I don't need to breathe in anybody else's stuff, okay? It was too close for comfort. I'm not in love. I just have my mask on. So if you have that problem, there's going to be people all in your face. Make sure that you wear one. Let's see. Oh, compression holes for all that walking. If you wear compression socks, make sure that you have those on, because I don't think I had mine on this time. I didn't have that much of a problem with my legs. I don't know why I didn't put them on. I probably should have, but because I have the neurological pieces that my hands and my feet they claw up, and I feel current running through my body. But I didn't have them on, but I had them in my bag. But I didn't need them. But if that's something that you have to do, make sure you do that. Comfortable shoes goes without saying. You'll know what to do. Okay, if you live in chronic pain, if you got any of the things I've mentioned, musculoskeletal, if you got metal in your body, I have it in my knees, my toe, my back. If you got missing pieces, if you got neurological things, mobility issues, you live in chronic illness, a condition that, you're autoimmune, anything, you know what to do. Only difference is this time, it's like nothing you never ever experienced before. And I hear that it's getting worse. I wasn't there. I got back in time before the ICE agents came out to, bring order or whatever they were going to do. I didn't want to be a part of that. This is not a political video. At no time was I talking about left and right. People tried to say that on my Instagram, video. At no time am I talking about left and right, because I am busy trying to get my left and my right hand to move together, my left and my right feet to move together and coordinate and get me from point A to point B. I'm a children's book author. I had to go to an event in North Carolina with my publisher. It was a great event. I'm still glad I went, but I'm focusing on what I have to do. I am old, okay? And I need to make sure that the time that I have left is filled with peace, okay? And ease to the best of my ability. If I have to get out in these streets, if I have to get on somebody's airplane in an airport, if I have to go through TSA, I have to do it. I'm going to do it the best way I know possible. So I joke about getting there a day early, but look, it's close enough. If I go out again, I'm definitely giving myself 8 hours. And if it means when I get there, if I have to, if it's international, because that's what it will be, I'll worry about how to check that bag. Okay, but I definitely will give myself that. I've gotten inside of the airport. It takes a minute to, when you drive up to the airport, to actually find a way to get your car close enough to get out so you don't get ran over. It's madness right now. If you thought the airport was crazy before, it's a whole nother level. It's a whole nother several levels. It's way up high, all the way up. Okay, so I'm about ease right now. I'm not thinking about the other things. I've done what I needed to do as a citizen, and this is what we got, and this is what we're dealing with. I'm just offering tips for people that have issues like me. I think that is all that I got. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to the TSA workers that were working without pay. Okay, I hope they get triple time. We had the screaming man that was hollering out instructions without a microphone. He needs a cough drop, okay, and a mic. We had make a hole, wheelchair dude. He was pushing the passengers through and using his voice. Crossing guard lady, she stopped people, put herself in harm's way, like, y'all wait here, this side wait, this side go. I seen a couple of them do that as I wandered around trying to find my Uber. And, you know, hearts out to the people that are not getting paid, that need their money, because you know what? You need certain things in order to come to work. You need gas. You need your transportation, you know, if you're taking the train, whatever. You need childcare. You need a roof over your head. Because people, you know, we can say, you know, you'll get your money back, but rent, Atlanta's not playing with that, okay? Childcare, you need to have your money to come in, to drop your kid off. So hats off to them. I hope we end this soon. I hope that they end this soon, because the airport is crazy, and not just Atlanta. So I hope they end this soon, and I am begging you, get to the airport a day early. That's all I got. If you made it this far, please like, share, subscribe to my channel. If you have any of the things that I've mentioned, I've had my knees replaced. I've had a 2-level lumbar fusion. I've had a hysterectomy. I have had a vitrectomy for detached retina. I've had laser surgery, which I'm going to do that video. I'm talking about doing a laser surgery video, because it was madness. It was barbaric. It was something like, I don't know where that came from. I've had, I live in chronic pain. I have neurological problems, musculoskeletal problems, and I share that. On this channel, I tell all my business, so it won't be yours. Thank you for listening to The Mind of Rakia. See you in the next one.